Welcome back, everybody. Great to have you here at Mcoc Buddy Roll. So I got the Rocket Raccoon tutorial from after his buff that happened a little while ago. But before I get into the tutorial, the how to do this, the what's this mean, the rotations, all the yada yada yada, let me show you a little bit of what he can do. He got very underappreciated from his buff. His buff is actually really good. Gave him some really cool utility. And by the way, for those of you still struggling in Battleground Season 4, he could be very useful in that as well based on what his kit is. He can do some great damage too. So I'm going to get into some of the main things he does. As we're looking at some of the damage he can do, some of the other things he can do, you've seen all these different things from the ruptures to the power drains to the heal blocks and all kinds of stuff. But let's show you how we're doing this and how we're getting into some of this damage, all right? The tutorial, we're going to start off with really the bread and butter of him is the scrap metal, which you can get max of 50. You're going to see me go above that because there is a synergy that can give him 60, so you'll see me using that sometimes. This is where you can get extra critical rating. So really want to keep a lot of hits going on, gives you a better chance of critical. Higher combo equals higher critical rating. The higher critical rating, in turn, is going to mean more scrap metal, easier to get the scrap. So keep your combo going. So as the fight goes on and you're keeping your combo going, you're going to get a lot more critical, which is good on a lot of nodes too. You also get higher scrap ratio against metal, so he's very good against metal champs, gets that extra little bit of scrap much quicker. Shield system, he's squishy automatically, but if you use some of your scraps, you get the 25 scraps, you dash back, hold block, you see the scrap system built, that is going to make him far from squishy. So now while that is active, his armor rating goes up, his physical resistance goes up. It also gets a little bit better stuff too with the awakening ability I'll get into a little bit later. But so that's a way to make him less squishy and actually pretty dang potent. It doesn't activate, he builds the system, but it doesn't actually activate. You're not wasting the time until he actually takes the hit, and it's going to make it way less painful. And you see that system is activated when I dash back, hold lift block for 1.2 seconds. Once he's hit, it activates. These heavy attacks, these are good for the current Battlegrounds meta, by the way. Good for armor break. So the heavy consumes 10. You got to build up to 10 metal, scrap metal, which is pretty easy to do. You do a heavy, it's going to inflict the armor break. So you can easily get the armor break. I'm going to stay active. S2 is another one I'm going to show you that keeps the armor break active even longer. But additionally, with Awakening Signature ability is making this heavy and armor break very good in a lot of fights, but I'm going to show you that more as we progress. Here in Special Ones, each hit inflicts the Rupture. So a good way to build the damage, especially if you're not running Recoil Masteries. It gives that physical damage to Ruptures. It also consumes 15 scrap metal to power drain the opponent. So you're trying to do some power constrain. You want to start, if you start spamming S1s and you start stacking those ruptures, you're going to get a whole lot of damage, a whole lot of power drain. We'll see what I'm doing right here with that. And we start melting this fight very, very well. Here on the S2, you can get a lot of damage. The more scrap metal you have, the more damage you get. It takes all of the scrap metal you have to build the rocket, and it's going to increase that attack rating. The more the scrap metal, the higher it is. The explosion is an armor break lasting 30 seconds. So on those fights or current Battlegrounds meta where you need those armor break, 30-second armor break, you can use this S2 to rotate to go do some damage. Maybe do the S2, do a long armor break, start stacking some S1s with those ruptures and stuff is one good way to do it, but I'll get more into that in the tips and trips section coming up in the near future. Again, most scrap metal equals more S2 damage. So then we get into the S3. This one can be nice over here. It can power drain up to 2 bars of power based on how many scrap metal were consumed. Once the power drain is active, they are passively special locked as well. So more scrap metal equals more power burned. Again, scrap metal, think of scrap metal like a currency. This is how he builds all of his stuff. For those who might not have been a fan of Rocket, aren't properly using his scrap metal. Think of it almost fairly similar to Punisher 99 and his power burn and his battery charges. Similar basic concept to get the utility and the power. Signature ability here. So what this is great. This is an outstanding one. When you do a armor break, it could either be through a heavy and or through a special 2. It also applies a heal block. If based on node or based on the champion they try to heal while heal block, it then power drains them. So in this fight, the node gave them a regeneration. So I'm doing an armor break. It's giving the heal block every time the node tries to regenerate them, or in this case, Saber, if you're trying to heal, it power burns them. So for one simple heavy or one simple S2, I'm getting that all that extra stuff out of there. Here's some synergies we have. I mentioned one synergy earlier where I was able to get the scrap metal increase up to 60. You'll see some different ones, some of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and you can add more of them on so you get some attack increases along the way. You'll see a few of these popping on up. These are just scroll and third Rocket Raccoon synergies on this profile. I also have one I'm going to pop up at the end that you do not see on Rocket Raccoon's profile, but one that's pretty useful, so I wanted to make sure to give it a little bit of love by showing it on over here. And so we see those Guardians ones. And this is the one with Hit Monkey here. It gives Rocket Raccoon critical hits, grant Rockets the one additional. So tip 1, Rocket is squishy. This is something I mentioned when I was showing the shield system. Again, dash back, hold block for 1.2 seconds. Got to have at least 25 shield charges available. And we see how that was activated. It builds it once you dash back, hold block for 1.2 seconds. It does not activate, meaning the timer does not activate until you actually take a hit. So you don't activate it and then waste it like could happen with some other things. Tip 2, S2 and Heavy is an easy way to access Armor Break. Great for Season 4 BG nodes, which is all about heavily about Armor Break on there. It's great for a lot of other nodes in different meta content. You see different Armor Break nodes in EQ sometimes, in side events sometimes, in story mode. So you need Armor Break. He has easy access to it. Just build up a few, get your hit count up, get the criticals going. You will then start getting those scrap very easily. Do the heavy with 15 or do the S2 and get the armor break for 30 seconds. Tip 3 is if Awaken, use against Regan champions or those even for power control. Again, you get the armor break that does a heal block if they try to heal based on node or based on their champ healing ability. They will, and it's heal blocked, then you automatically power drain them for every time that they are denied ability to regenerate health through the regeneration abilities. So you're getting heal block, you're getting power burn, and you get armor break all for the price of 1. There's a lot of different rotations. It's going to depend on your masteries. Keep that in mind. I run the recoil suicide mastery, so I try not to spam too many S1s, things like that. A rotation I really like is I like that S3. I then like to go to S2. I like to then go to S1 because that's going to give me a mixture of damage, utility. In here, you're going to get power break. You're going to get special lock. You're going to get these rupture damages. You're going to get arm break. You're going to get heal block. You get more special lock. All these different things are going to stem from this. So you're seeing where I use this rotation this fight. And keep in mind, this fight has about a 500,000 hit HP. And I'm keeping this utility. And I'm keeping everything in check. I'm keeping those armor breaks up. I'm keeping heal block on there. And the S2, after that S3, I keep building up, keep my combo going so I can get these critical hits. So I build my scrap metal back up. So before I do the S2, I have a lot of scrap metal, hit that S2, then hit that S1. So I'm hoping this helps. Hoping you enjoy. Great overlooked fighter. Don't forget to click that top left icon. Subscribe to MCOC. Al Bundy Rules. Thanks for watching.